And the thing is, I do believe there was talk about these things. I believe if we study history, the Confederates were able to shoot pterodactyls, back in the Civil War, and they spread these things out. Anybody can look it up online.
Google it
They
yourself.
spread these things out, and this is a historical fact. So, they spread this thing out, and it's got a huge winglet. It was a pterodactyl they shot. So, of course, these things have been around. Now, they went extinct, obviously, slowly, but surely. And so...
What I'm saying is Jesus wrote a dinosaur to work. That's history. It's in the Bible. How to Train Your Dragon.
Historical facts.
And if you don't believe it, do your own research. Pull up Google. You'll find the picture, I promise.
Oh my God.
Thank you, John Gleason, Godless engineer, for gifting me this beautiful moment. Y'all remember when they tried to cancel Steven Spielberg for posing with an animatronic triceratops animal rights activist?
Back it up.
Hit it from the back.
Cloaca. Historical facts.
Eat my ass, BP. You're down here bailing on the rest of us because you don't want to process your grief and shame like a normal person by drinking and mistreating strangers.
No, Rick. It is you who must nibble my cloaca, or bird asshole.
Everyone knows what a cloaca is.
back in the Civil War, and they spread these things out. Anybody can look it up online. They spread these things out, and this is a historical fact. So, they spread this thing out, and it's got a huge winglet. It's a pterodactyl they shot. So, of course, these things have been around. Now, they went extinct, obviously, slowly, but surely. And so...
Paul Bunyan was sharing some Funyuns with his pet velociraptor.
Whoa.
Oh, you thought it was an ox? Roll back the clock. Let me knock the socks off. Historical facts.
I didn't cut out. You heard me. Are you a pervert or something? Okay.
Oh, there we go. What's up, heathens? How y'all doing? I'm the Godless Engineer. You have been blessed by Christ. Now go forth and suck my dong. What's up, heathens? How y'all doing? I'm the Godless Engineer, and I critically analyze apologist claims to give you the best arguments. Sorry, I fucked myself up again. I'm the Godless Engineer, and I critically analyze apologist claims to give you the best argue. What do I fucking say? I keep stumbling myself. I arguments and information. That's right. I think so. Yes, I critically analyze apologist claims to give you the best arguments and information so that you can stand up and use your voice. I don't know why I got fucked up with that. That's really fucking weird. Anyways, all right. So what's up, heathens? Hope you guys are having an awesome Friday. I know I've had a pretty awesome Friday because I was off today, so that's always good. Daniel M. Sent in a super chat already saying, David says good night. Good night there, David. I hope you have an awesome weekend. I hope you had an awesome week. And, I guess we'll see you next week then. And remember, don't listen to all the dirty words that I'm going to be using tonight. Be sure to replace those with correct terms like poopy and stuff. Anyways, so tonight we're going to be going over Dr. Jeremiah Johnston. Dr. Jeremiah Johnston has kind of been going around on this whole tour on YouTube and other media, trying to shill his new book. And basically he's wanting to present some artifacts that definitely prove that Jesus existed. And actually, these are some of these artifacts I've not heard about. Others I have heard about, but he's going to pretend like we haven't heard about them. And so tonight we're going to be reviewing the artifacts that he is going to present to Michael Knowles, and we're going to see how that stands up to scrutiny. My guess is that it's not going to stand up to scrutiny, but I am more than willing, or I'm more than open to like archaeological evidence for Jesus. But I feel like that's going to that's going to be a tough sell, this archaeological evidence of Jesus. So, if you want to fuck around and find out whether or not I'm going to get wrecked, me, a mythicist, is going to get wrecked by archaeological evidence for Jesus, proving that he definitely existed as a historical figure. If you want to fuck around and find out about that, then please stay tuned. All right, heathens. Well, in case you don't know, over there in the side chat, they got this new community thing where you got to comment and send in super chats in order to get those nice purpley title thingies next to you, little crowns and everything. If you care about that, just keep on chatting. Sending in super chat is going to help. But more importantly, if you want to help us here on this channel, continue to run this channel and provide you with free consumable content every week, then please consider sending in a super chat. I will directly interact with it. I'll read it on screen. I will respond to you. You can directly hear what my response is right in the moment. And yeah, that'll help. Also, what helps is joining the Skeptic Mafia. You can go down there. There's a link in the description, but there should be a button right below this live stream that says join, and you can join the Skeptic Mafia by going there. We have a full range of tiers that you can join. Every tier has access to cool emojis that you may or may not see people using in the side chat. We're constantly trying to add new emojis, but we need new members in order to update those emojis. So if you want to help us out with that, please do. All of that would be appreciated. We do have somewhat of a full slate tonight as far as the stream goes. We have comments. Well, we've got news first, we've got comments, and then we've got fuck around and find out, and then we've got the review. So if everybody's ready for it, I hope y'all are ready for the news, because I'm not. I'll fuck this song up, I'm sure. All right, who's ready for some? Today I learned some shit that I wish I didn't know. That was like $75 worth spent. It was very worthy. All right. So I hope you guys are ready for the news, because we got a doozy. Doozy got dropped this week. This first story is going to be kind of long, so I hope that you guys are ready for it. But I'm going to walk you through the MAGA Daddy divorce. Okay, so there was a big divorce thing. I've heard that there's been some attempts at a reconciliation, like maybe they were going to be talking today, but I mean, like, this got really messy, right? Shit got flung. This is a multi-day affair, but I'm going to lay out a concise timeline. This is not supposed to be all encompassing, because I'm sure that like a lot of shit was going on, but this is as good of a timeline that I can give you as far as how this whole divorce thing that was publicly aired happened on the internet. Okay. So rewind a little bit in time to Tuesday, June 3rd. This is when the first shots were fired. Elon Musk, seen here being the cringiest motherfucker in the room that he could possibly be, also probably on all 20 of his pills that he had in his jacket pocket. Apparently he, got bored with, everything he was doing, launching rockets, buying, social media networks, threatening people online, and it decided to start threatening Donald Trump's one big beautiful bill, the OBBB. Is that right? OBBB. Yeah. Yep, 3 B's. Reminds me of that Jasmine Crockett Butch built beach body. Bad blonde butch beach body. I don't know. Anyways, it was that I can't recall it. Bleach blonde. That's right. Butch body. Yeah, bleach blonde butch body. Built bad blonde butch body. Right. I think that's. But anyways, Elon Musk on Tuesday called Donald Trump's OBBB a disgusting abomination, and shames the lawmakers who voted for it, which is the political equivalent of unfollowing your ex on Instagram. I mean, really, this Musk weighing in, I guess, maybe means a little bit more than that, but like he's a private citizen bitching about shit. So then Wednesday, June 4th, Musk is going to double down. He continues his rampage, urging his followers to call Congress to kill the bill, because nothing says like I'm a serious policy guy, like using all caps and hoping your followers know that what their senators' phone numbers are. Or is. Okay, now Thursday's a big day because a feud is going to go nuclear on this day, okay? In the morning, Musk starts digging up Trump's old tweets about government spending, replying with wise words, and I couldn't agree more, which is either sarcasm or Musk is just now discovering 2013 Twitter, which I sincerely doubt. I mean, I'm sure he's seen it all before. Anyways, then progressing on to noon, Trump finally responds saying that Musk is just mad that he lost his EV subsidies. Trump claims that Musk knew every aspect of this bill, and then in classic Trump fashion adds he's very disappointed in Elon, which is what he says right before he fires someone on TV. Now, I do want to say that there's a little bit of truth. I think that there's some supporting like evidence that we're going to get to here in a second for this idea that Elon knew what was in the bill, what the bill would do, and everything, and was totally fine with it beforehand. And then, you know, he had problems with it afterwards. Next, early afternoon, Musk keeps poking at Trump, rebranding the bill, suggesting a new political party, and basically live tweeting his own meltdown. Trump escalates, threatening to cancel Musk's government contracts and subsidies because nothing says, I value free enterprise, like threatening to nuke a guy's business from orbit. Although I don't think it would nuke Musk's business from orbit necessarily. But you know, I'm not a business guy, so I mean, I'm not a capitalist. Anyways, so mid-afternoon comes around, and Musk, not to be outdone, agrees with a post calling for Trump's impeachment and claims that Trump couldn't have won the presidency without him. Okay, he even threatens to shut down SpaceX's NASA program, the Dragon module that they were developing, before backtracking because even Elon knows that you can't mess with the astronauts. Everybody disliked that is basically what happened on that one, and so he did end up walking that back in a reply tweet to somebody. But then randomly, out of fucking nowhere, just like Steve Bannon crawls out from underneath the bed where he was listening to all of this going down. Steve Bannon, the guy who looks like he's allergic to soap, has called for Elon Musk to be kicked out of the country. Bannon told Trump to investigate Musk's immigration status, claiming Musk is an illegal alien and should be deported immediately because, you know, nothing says I'm winning an argument, like threatening to send your billionaire rival back to South Africa and coach. But Bannon didn't stop there. He also wanted Musk's government contracts canceled, I guess agreeing with Donald Trump on that, his security clearance revoked, and for someone to check if Musk has been microdosing in the SpaceX break room. So just imagine this troll crawling out from underneath the bed and being like, investigate his illegal alien ass, kick him out, cancel his shit, I'm with you. And then he crawls back under the bed. Anyways, so after the random Bannon thing, late in the afternoon, that's when the Epstein files bombshell drops because just when you thought this feud couldn't get any like weirder, Musk posts this tweet that says, "Time to drop the really big bomb. At real Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That is the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day, DJT." And then suddenly we're not talking about any of the spending bills anymore, and we're full of conspiracy theory territory. White House aides reportedly faint, Twitter explodes, and late night writers everywhere send Musk a fruit basket for this glorious pile of shit that they just dropped right there on their writer's desk. Now, I think that it's pretty obvious at this point that, you know, Trump was more than likely in the Epstein files. I mean, they've been in power since January, which is 5 months. Yeah, it's not 6 months yet because that would be June 20th, but they haven't. They've been in for a little more than 5 months now. They still have not released the Epstein files. They are in total control of it. I mean, Trump has basically loaded his cabinet with people that are just going to do what he says. So if nobody is releasing the Epstein files and they're doing some kind of like phased release of shit that we already have and not really revealing anything, this is exactly what Trump wants. If Trump wanted the Epstein files released, he'd just fucking release them, right? So it's very obvious that Trump is somehow in it. He's referenced in some kind of way, and he doesn't want to release them because it would be very obvious even if they redacted them, right? So I think everybody already knew that, but to hear Elon Musk say it is one thing. But another thing is that Elon Musk has been supporting Trump, ever since they got into the White House and everything like that, been backing him up, continuously, behind him, the guy that just pumps everybody up is like, yeah, fuck him up, Donald. And so, I mean, basically, Elon has been covering and supporting a sex offender and somebody that was in tight with Epstein and is in Epstein's logs and everything like that, probably doing some really heinous shit. So Musk is not the hero that everybody might want to think that he is. Okay. He's been supporting a sexual predator. But anyways, on Friday, today, Trump tells CNN that he's not even thinking about Musk and says that the poor guy's got a problem. Meanwhile, a White House official announces Trump is selling his Tesla, which is the ultimate political breakup move right after unfriending someone on Facebook. Now, I can only imagine that they were parking the Tesla out in front of the White House like it's a fucking used car lot. You know those used car lots that are really former houses or double wides or some kind of shit. I feel like they were parking that out in front, just look at my Tesla. It's a big, beautiful Tesla. I can't drive it because it's illegal, but it's a big, beautiful Tesla. And, yeah, Tesla. So apparently Trump is no longer sponsored by Tesla. He is being, probably sponsored by Bannon and whatever Bannon's thing is. But anyways, that's I know that's really long and a really long breakdown of everything that happened, but this is the MAGA daddy divorce here. That's how it happened, and I don't know if they're gonna make up. Maybe they'll kiss and make up. Who knows? You doubt it? So here's where I really wanted this MAGA divorce to get to, just full on shit slinging everywhere. On the internet about this thing. I wanted Elon Musk to be like, yeah, well, you smell like shit all the time because you're sitting there in cabinet meetings shitting yourself constantly. And then Donald Trump would be like, yeah, well, I hear you bigly piss your pants because of how much ketamine you're on. And then Elon would come back with, well, I know from a certain someone that you particularly like that kind of shit because I got the tape, Krasnov. And I just was really hoping for more of a back and forth, the shit slinging like that, but apparently it didn't go that far. So, no. Anyways, so I can only dream. I can only hope that some late night writer has come up with that particular sketch and they really need to put pen to paper on that. Okay. I'm just saying. Anyways, all right. So that's it for the MAGA daddy divorce. Now into other news, that's not this fucking shit show that is America right now. This guy right here, you don't know him. He's not an important person, but I needed someone to represent a shithead. And he's the shithead that we're talking about. So in Arizona, a court has blocked a confession from being used in a child sexual abuse trial. And this is because the confessions were made to a pastor. Apparently, confessing your sins to a member of the clergy is more important than, seeking justice for the fucking victims. Mario Rodriguez Ramirez, seen here realizing what happens to pedophiles in jail or in prison, again, not a trans person or a drag queen, but is a former pastor, was arrested on multiple counts of child sexual abuse. During the investigation, Rodrigo Ramirez admitted to his actions in a recorded conversation with his brother-in-law, who is also a pastor. Now, these are Baptists, right? Baptists in Arizona. I don't know if they were IFB, Independent Fundamentalist Baptists, or if they were just Baptists. Who knows? But they're Baptists, just so that you don't think that they're like Catholic in some kind of way. But anyways, now an Arizona appeals court has ruled that the recording cannot be used in court because it was a, quote, privileged conversation. And I don't know about you, but if someone confesses to sexually abusing a child, first of all, I'm beating their ass and reporting them to the police. But second, I think that trumps any sort of clergy penitent privilege. And I mean, this is kind of a dicey gray area for me because of the separation of church and state. But at the same time, these are not Catholic individuals. These are Protestants. Protestants do not have the same kind of theological, I guess, boxes around the confessional booth or even a confessional booth. They don't even confess their sins. They don't have to confess their sins because they can speak directly to Jesus. So they don't need a pastor. They don't need to confess their sins to a pastor or anything like that. They just go directly to Jesus, suck his dick, and then, they get a free pass. But anyways, during the investigation, sorry, I skipped back a little bit there. It's almost like the court is saying, hey, if you're going to commit a crime, don't tell anyone but a pastor or a priest, because then you can get off scot-free and you can use Jesus as a shield. And that's getting to the point of this. This ruling sets a really dangerous precedent here. It essentially allows predators to hide behind religion to avoid being held accountable for their actions, which, if you know anything about child sexual abuse in religious communities, this kind of ruling right here can only exacerbate that problem. This kind of ruling right here is what child sex abusers in the church, both Catholic, which Catholics already have this protection when it concerns like priests in the confessional booth or priests in general, actually. Catholics already have it, but now Protestants, apparently, at least in Arizona, already have it as well. They can abuse as many kids as they want to, and if they tell or confess to a fellow pastor, they can't do anything about it. So this is going to lead into like whole communities that just hide sexual predators amongst them. And, because they aren't required, I guess, now to report these individuals because these are privileged conversations, I can see the child sexual abuse in Arizona getting so much worse. So if you're a child sexual abuser in Arizona, the power of Jesus will literally allow you to sexually abuse any child that you want. But yeah, keep in mind, drag queens reading one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish to your kids is the real threat. That's what we really got to be concerned with, not rings of pedophiles going through Baptist churches in Arizona, violating your children, fucking them up for the rest of their lives. No, 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 no. It's the drag queen wanting to read Dr. Seuss and getting your kids to think about shit. One fish, two fish, red fish, Noah's bullshit. And then that's where the kids, get off the rails there. So anyways, Arizona's protecting a pedophile, and that seems like right up that conservative state's alley. Although Arizona's a blue state, right? Or not blue state, purple. Purple. Yeah, it's a purple state. So hopefully there will be some people in there to overturn the fucking bullshit that's going on in Arizona. I'm really interested to see what the political landscape looks like this coming November. All right. So that's it for that piece of shit. Now we're going to go on to this. This girl who is not a piece of shit. She's a Tennessee teen, and she is suing her Christian school after they refused to give her a diploma for, and now I want you to brace yourself because this is going to be totally surprising, right? She posted about her girlfriend on social media. I mean, I know you're thinking like, yeah, what's the problem there? Well, it was, she goes to Tennessee Christian Preparatory School. And apparently at that school, Jesus literally said, love thy neighbor, but not like that. And especially not on Instagram. If you do, then you're basically the Antichrist and you deserve to go to hell and burn there. The school claims it was actually about her disparaging remarks towards Trump-loving Christians, which honestly is the most snowflakey reason to withhold someone's diploma. And in all honesty, being that much of a snowflake in the summer, that's the worst decision that you could make. But instead of the usual slap on the wrist or anything like that, the school banned her from the graduation, athletic banquets, and threatened to tattle to colleges if she kept on running her fucking mouth. She kept on yapping, talking about how, bad this is and how bad of a look this is for these fucking snowflakes at this school. Apparently, they were going to shit talk to the colleges and get her maybe blacklisted or something. But yes, honey, they are the free speech individuals. They're the free speech snowflakes. Not like the Democrats out there, what do they call it? The Democrats. They want to restrict your language. It's like, no, I'm sorry, but the Democrats, they don't want to restrict your language. They, just think that you should show people respect, which I know, radical fucking concept for conservatives out there, right? So, just to recap on this story, I know it's been a little short. It's open shut, really. So just to recap, because the school is a giant fucking snowflake during the summer and can't help but to melt down, she can't walk at graduation, but they're still using her photo to promote their athletics program. Because at this school, hypocrisy is just a lesson. Isn't just a lesson. It's a varsity sport. So, that's it for the news today. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I know I didn't. This is some righteous bullshit here. I think, turn her back on. I'll put her back on the screen. So, I think for this particular situation right here, it's very obviously a violation of her First Amendment rights. I mean, there's no real reason to prevent her from walking. There's no reason to prevent her from graduating. I mean, she literally on her own time didn't display it out at school or anything like that, posted a picture of her and her girlfriend. She shouldn't be persecuted like this. Although Christians nowadays, they'll tell you that, I'm persecuted because I can't use state money to fund religious schools, or I can't force the entire school to pray every morning, or I have to use someone's correct pronouns. I don't even know what pronouns are. Like, they're just so ridiculous. Anyways, that's going to be it for the news today. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I know I didn't. All right, so let's get on to the comments. Are you guys ready for the comments? Yeah? Here we go. Comments of the day. Prepare to facepalm yourself in the next week. All right. I didn't fuck that one up. All righty. So let's get to comment number 1, shall we? First up is Jane from the North over there on Twitter. And I know this might be a little bit of rehashy, but I feel like it makes a good point. So Elon goes, kill the bill. And Trump goes, Elon has TDS. Yeah, apparently Trump said that Elon has Trump derangement syndrome. I know. So Elon goes, I'm the reason Trump won. So Trump goes, we waste billions on Elon, which I don't know if waste is correct. I mean, I definitely think that we shouldn't be, I don't think that we should shift our focus away from like NASA. I think that we should definitely involve SpaceX and like use those kind of companies and everything like that. But I think that we should definitely, be reinforcing NASA so that it can be self-supporting. Yeah. I know, I am. I'm working on it. So Elon goes, Epstein! And a flunky goes, deport! And Elon goes, impeach! And that's why women are too emotional to be president. Like I said, it makes a good point at the end. Like, oh yeah, women are too emotional to be president. And like, women shouldn't be in the presidential seat. But we have fucks doing this all the time. Anyways, that's it for this one. Next up, so this is another Prime comment from my video that it was one, I guess, taken down by Facebook briefly, and then it was put back up because it's still there. Like the video stuff, it's the one where it's got the "Fuck the USA" or "I'm ashamed to be an American," like that song in it, where I did a shot of Canyonlands and then the Grand Canyon, little slow shots of that. And so it's like, I'm ashamed to be an American because fuck this place right now. Anyways, this guy, Doug, he had something to say to me. He goes, Hey, have you tried jumping off a cliff, commie boy? God damn, Doug, like, we don't have to agree on everything, but you don't gotta tell me to, like, commit suicide or something. Like, fuck, that's fucked up, Doug. Holy shit. This is just the internet. This is just me, expressing my free speech. Doug, do you not like free speech? Can I not use my free speech to say fuck the USA, Doug?
Also, fuck you, Doug.
Yeah, fuck you, Doug. And you're not even the cool Doug. Like the Doug the Rock that everything is created through. That's a Justin Deconstruction Zone joke, by the way. But anyways, you're not even the cool kind of Doug. You're a dipshit. As you can tell, I'm not bothered by this because, like, random bros on the internet telling me to jump off a cliff. I don't give a fuck what you think. I don't care. I'm not a communist, by the way. You think that I'm a communist just because you want to, like, I guess, assume that I am. But I feel like the government being able to support the most vulnerable in our nation and providing social safety nets so that nobody has to go hungry, especially children, like those kinds of things. If that makes me a communist, then fine. You don't know what a communist is.
Don't.
No, they don't, because they think Marxist communist is like a thing that exists. Anyways, next is another comment from that same video there, who says, whoever wrote and published this song and those who back it need deported! Because they're definitely not American. Maybe GoFundMe page for one-way tickets to El Salvador. Man, why do we need a GoFundMe page for one-way tickets to El Salvador? Like, Trump will just deport my ass there.
Also,
Yeah, we can pay for our own travel. That's right. We don't need to fundraise on the internet for it. Like, we're fine. But like, here's the crazy thing to me. The free speech crowd gets upset when somebody uses their free speech to say a thing they don't like, and their immediate reaction is, you need deported! And I'm like, you need to go back to English class. You need to get some grammar lessons because that is not a proper sentence. I might be able to interact with it if, like you said, whoever wrote this needs to be deported, not whoever backs it and they deported. Like,
and you're not American.
I'm not American, although I am a quarter Puerto Rican, which dipshits like this would think is a totally different country and that I should just go back to where I came from, even though where I came from is Decatur, Alabama. That's close to Puerto Rico, right?
No, and I'd be honest, I wouldn't want to be deported to Decatur, Alabama either.
Casey said, I wouldn't want to be deported to Decatur, Alabama. All they export there is poverty. If you drive through Decatur, Alabama, you know what the fuck I'm talking about, too. All right, next. This is not a hate comment or whatnot on my F the USA thing. this is another shitty comment from a different time. This person says, the author argues that morality isn't defined by evolution, only that it's necessary for the proliferation of a species to survive. But why would a species want to survive? Why would it care? I'm sorry. I feel like this, just a sanity check there, hon. I feel like this motherfucker right here just asked, why would a living organism, a living like group of organisms want to continue living? Why would they want to continue live? Because that's the very basics of life, is to continue living. Like, that's basic survival instinct shit.
Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah. Life finds a way. Oh, I do have a Jeff Goldblum candle. I mean, it's the one where he's got the shirt down like his front, where he's, I don't know. Anyways, the challenge in disproving God and creationism is finding a plausible explanation to the obvious necessity of a creator, God, to explain the creation, including our separate identities, all the complexities of the universe, and the will to survive. Where did it come from? Why would a couple of molecules care whether they survived or not? And then later, why would one-celled animal care? Then a more complex animal. Okay, they're Bieber? I'm going to go with Bieber. All right there, Bieber. There's not an obvious necessity for a creator. Nature just operates fine without a creator. There is no creation because shit wasn't created in the way that you're talking about here, including our separate identities. So our consciousness, our identities are emergent properties of complex central nervous systems that are our central nervous systems. And so that's why they're separate identities, and we're not having a shared identity right now, is because my brain is physiologically and chemically different and separate from other brains. I didn't feel like that needed to be said because like we're not all sharing the same fucking brain, but I guess Bieber here needed it explained. We're not Borg. One of us. One of us. All the complexities of the universe. Now, the universe is complex, but I don't think that we need God to explain the complexities. And if there is something out there that's too complex for us to understand or explain right now, does not necessarily mean that God exists to fill that gap. So, we don't need a God, and we don't need explanations for all the complexities of the universe. And then the will to survive is a basic survival trait. The survival mechanism, or the will to survive, is an inherent trait for all organisms. If an organism doesn't have the will to survive, then its lineage is cut off. Like, it doesn't reproduce, it doesn't procreate anymore. So like, the will to survive, this very basic instinct, was definitely developed by evolution, because those with the will to survive are going to continue surviving and procreate and spread that will to survive to their descendants, and on and on and on and on. So yeah, I mean, that's how the will to survive, like, where did it come from? It just naturally developed through evolution. Why would a couple of molecules care whether they survived or not? They don't have a consciousness. Like, they don't have like, molecules individually doesn't have like any kind of like sentience to it. They're not organisms. They're just fucking molecules, right? So I don't know why you're asking that. And then later, why would a one-celled animal care? Well, for one thing, one-celled organisms, I don't know if they're in the animal kingdom. Let's see. Are one-celled organisms in the animal kingdom? No, single-celled organisms are not part of the animal kingdom. Animals are defined by being multicellular organisms, meaning that they are made up of multiple cells. I mean, that's what I was thinking. I didn't think that single-celled organisms were in the animal kingdom. I needed to double-check before, I dug a hole that I couldn't get out of. So, yeah, one-celled animal is not a thing that actually exists. So this is a nonsensical question. Are you asking why random animals would care? Well, again, I'll point you back to my explanation for why the will to survive even exists. Those animals, organisms with a will to survive are going to survive longer and procreate and spread that will to survive through their descendants. And so therefore propagating all the way up till now where, it's just a basic trait of organisms to have that will to survive. One-celled organisms, one-celled organisms are going to seek out energy. They're going to consume things to have energy, and they're going to do whatever they can to survive, showing that even all the way back to one-celled organisms that are alive, they want to survive and procreate. I don't know how much more basic you can get. And then the more complex animal. I don't know what that means. I don't know what it means to be a more complex animal. All animals are as complex as they are. Multicellular, I don't know how you're defining complex here. Because sure, you could talk about how there are different body plans that are more complex than others and everything like that. But if you're talking about one-celled versus multicellular animals, that's the difference, is multicellular. That's as complex as the animal gets. So it really kind of depends on what you mean here. I get it. I probably interacted way too much with this one, but I think it's our next to last comment. And now we're getting to our last one, which isn't necessarily a comment, but it was something that somebody said. And I got this from Right Wing Watch. So Representative Mary Miller says that climate change is a sham. God controls the climate because he controls the sun, and the sun controls the weather primarily. Now, the sun does have a significant influence on the weather here on the earth. The energy coming from the sun heats up, the atmosphere and everything like that. It factors in, the sun factors into wind currents and high pressure systems, low pressure systems, how the atmosphere changes and all that kind of stuff. So, the sun does have a significant impact on weather, but the sun doesn't control weather here. There are different aspects of our planet that also contribute to how weather is. So the sun doesn't affect whether or not there's more carbon dioxide in our atmosphere, thus trapping more heat and causing more extreme weather events. Sure, the sun plays a part in that it provides the energy, but it is also a complex interaction of factors here on the earth that are contributing to the more severe weather effects. And some of those factors are human contributed. Humans are contributing to exacerbating those factors more so than what would naturally occur. And so it makes no sense to say that climate change is a sham because God controls the weather, or controls the climate. This makes me think that she still thinks that, you can sacrifice a small child to please, God, so that he doesn't cause the fields to flood or something like that. I feel like this reaches all the way back to when we were sacrificing people for good crops and all this other kind of good stuff, to make sure that it would rain, to try to control the climate. Yeah, Billy Bob over there fucked up, so now we're going to sacrifice him to the Lord. And all of a sudden the Lord's up there what the fuck is this? I didn't ask for this. I wanted purebred virgin. That's what I want. Burn me a virgin so I could smell it. It's like a Jimmy John's all throughout history. I want the free smells, bitch. You're seriously gonna float this idea that God somehow controls the weather? You sound like a dumb fucking idiot. Yeah, blessed be the fruit, bitches, under his eye. Talking about what they're wearing right now, because they're basically wearing they're wearing the wife teal, just in different outfits there. It's holy shit. Yeah, a good eye on you, honey, because I did not notice that under his eye shit that was on the screen right there. Holy fuck. May the Lord fucking open the sky for sure, I guess. God damn. All right. All right, so that's going to be it for the comments tonight. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I do want to remind everybody that you can send in a super chat if you want to, add your 2 cents in, like Zumi did right now with the member chat.
We got a new member.
All right, Zumi says Jesus might control the weather, but Satan is my motor. Hear my motor purr. Oh, I feel like Jesus just motorboated somebody's chesticles. Anyways, thank you so much, Zumi, for tuning in, or for sending that in right there. Appreciate you. Okay, so now we're gonna get to the fuck around and find out, which that's a Brocephus thing. So we're about to get to Brocephus. Hope that you guys are gonna enjoy this. I know I'm just gonna sit in the corner and hope that he doesn't get my channel taken down. So we're gonna go on ahead and go on over to Brocephus's page. I guess I will see you heathens later, right after the all this bullshit. Anyways, Brocephus, get the fuck over here, you dumb son of a bitch!
Hey!
Shitty ass science! We're gonna answer some science shit really wrong.
That was rude.
Was it rude, honey? I don't know. I don't think it was. It was fucking rude, you giant sack of shit.
Oh, hey, that was rude too. You know what? You two are a problem.
We're a problem. Look, we're just guys, okay? Look, you're being too emotional right now. This is the reason why you don't host anything on this channel no more. You just get emotional. See, we guys are not emotional, okay? I tell Godless Engineer to, hey, go fucking fall down a flight of stairs like you deserve. And, that's just how guys rib it out.
You know what? If I hosted something on this channel, more people would watch it.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I'm sure that there would be people that would love for you to host your Today I Learns again, but I've got to. Well, I'm not doing Today I Learns. That's GE's thing. But you could do it for sure. But I'm just saying that we guys are not as emotional as you gals out there. That's why GE and I can be like, hey, fuck off, bitch, and we're fine. That was rude. So fucking rude. Okay, let's see. Does that make this basically church? Because here's the praise music. Oh shit, hold on. I gotta get it in there so I know. Okay, here's our praise music right now. Round. Find out. Every now and then I fall apart. Wait, that's not the right words, but whatever. Anyways, so this one right here, this first one is a conservative who says, so this is a post that's on an effort to ban THC nationwide. So instead of legalize it, it's, hey, let's illegalize it everywhere, regardless of how the states actually vote, because you have been blessed by Christ. Now go forth and suck my dong. Because fuck states' rights when I conveniently want to fuck states' rights. Limited Light says, Brocephus, you're fired. I don't know who Brocephus is. I feel like that's my Roman counterpart from Brocevius.
Yeah, that's what we called you when we were in Italy.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
We called you Brocevius.
You called me Brocevius. That's right. All right. Redneck in Rome. It's perfect. Okay, so now this is about legislation to ban THC products nationwide. Okay, this person says this legislation is paid and bought for by Big Pharma, alcohol and nicotine lobbyists with a dash of the Bible Belt. We complain about some of these liberal issues being 80-20, and THC is now a 65-35 issue. Legalize it, tax it, and put the tax back into Social Security. That sounds like some liberal bullshit right there, you nectarine fast conservative. Okay? One, Who do you think owns the big pharma alcohol and nicotine companies to send the lobbyists? And who do you think the lobbyists are fucking lobbying, you dipshit? They're lobbying the Republican government because that's who controls the government right now. The conservatives, you conservative dipshit. How can you sit there and actually act like this is not the party that you've been voting for the past 12 years or however in the fuck old you are? I mean, that's a good point there, Casey. Social Security is self-funded. So, like, you don't need to put it back into Social Security. It's the Republicans that want to trash Social Security, take all the money out and give it to, like, Peter Thiel and Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg and, well, not Elon Musk anymore. But, you know, yeah, who in the fuck do you think is lobbying the Republicans? Do you think Democrats are sitting there like, hey, we want to fuck over our base? Nope, that's the conservatives. The conservatives are like, hey, they wake up every morning. This is what they do. They wake up just like fucking Nosferatu out of the goddamn coffin. They're like, how in the fuck can I fuck over my voting base but blame it on Democrats? And they come up with this kind of shit right here. They come up with stripping Medicaid and Medicare, even though their constituents are the primary recipients of both of those fucking programs. But yet the conservatives will still go on and vote for them, just like this dipshit right here. This is happening so early on in the political like races and everything like that. This motherfucker's gonna forget it 3 years from now. He's gonna forget that it was the conservatives, and this motherfucker's gonna vote for conservatives again because he, for some reason, thinks the Democrats are actually demons. Well, probably not because he shot on the Bible Belt, but you know what I'm saying. Anyways, all right, let's move on to fuck around and find out number 2. And that would be this one. So, as you all know, I know GE knows perfectly fucking well how Doge constantly had the government concerned about their jobs. Every federal employee was like, am I going to get shit canned? Am I not going to get shit canned? Today's a new day with a new possibility for being shit canned. Now Doge staff are being targeted because as reported right here, Doge affiliated staff, some of whom were responsible for pushing out thousands of federal workers, texted one another on Thursday about whether or not they would be fired next, according to administration officials. So basically, those that were just like interviewing people for their own jobs and then saying, hey, you're fucking fired because you're redundant. But as walking out the door, it's like, okay, but I, preserve our nuclear warheads and everything. So I don't know what you're going to do about it. I just managed the Ebola response task force. Okay. That's what was essentially happening. Now the Doge staff are the ones that are likely to get the fucking boot because fucking Musk ain't doing shit. Well, especially now because he's out of the government. But even before then, Musk didn't do shit to root out waste, fraud, and abuse at all. If they're, yeah, you bitch. That's right, honey. Thanks for giving me the little.
Are you calling me honey?
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Casey.
You're welcome.
All right, Doge staff can go and get fucked. Just right out. I mean, if there was a Doge staffer that was locked in their car and the keys were outside for some reason, I would probably act like I couldn't hear them and I'd just keep walking. I'm just saying, I don't care for Doge staff. You guys can just fuck off. I don't care if you're just doing your fucking job or not. The fucking Nazi soldiers were just doing their fucking jobs, but who am I to do that comparison, I guess. Next up is this dumbass, the Patriot voice over there on the twit-twat, who says, people are so quick to suggest that I flipped on Trump. No. I didn't flip on Trump. Trump flipped on us. I'm just not willing to continue to live in a lie. And I will tell you the unfortunate truth about it. So this guy right here staunch Trump supporter until Trump started like doing shit that he didn't like. And now, you know, it's like, oh, no, I'm not flipping on Trump. I've always been my own shitty self. It's Trump that has betrayed me personally. And I feel like a lot of Trump supporters out there probably feel the same way. Like, nope, I haven't left the MAGA, ultra MAGA, conservative dipshit sort of column. It's Trump that has went a bit farther to the right and accidentally hurt me. And I wasn't expecting that. I voted for people to get hurt, but those people did not include me. Is essentially what I hear when I hear these people say these kind of dumb shit. All right, let's see. Next. Oh, wait. That is actually the wrong one. So sorry. Next one is this. So here's this South Floridian weatherman who tells his viewers that he can't accurately predict the hurricanes that are going to be coming to fuck them up because of government cuts. The reason why this is a fuck around and find out, it's really unfortunate for those that did not vote for Trump, but those in Florida mostly did vote for Trump. Florida usually was a flip, like one of those purpley states it was a swing state. But, you know, ever since, what was that, like the 2000? I think it was the 2000 vote that had like a big trouble in it with the hanging chads and shit. Ever since then, it's kind of been a red state. So, like, they voted for this specifically. And I mean, I get it. You were voting to hurt other people. You just didn't realize that the other people out there included the likes of you, and it included hurricanes, you know, fucking you and your property up. I don't know. I mean, I guess you could just pick up and move, right? Like, I mean, you don't like getting the hurricane shoved up your ass. Maybe you should just move out of the state, and you can go and fuck up somebody else's state too with your dumb ass shit. But no, seriously, this is a horrible situation out there right now, but it was all outlined in Project 2025. I'm just going to let you know right now, okay? It specifically stated in Project 2025 that it basically wanted to shut down the NOAA services and everything like that, ship all those services off to private companies so that you, in order to get hurricane information, not from your local weatherman, but because you paid $5.99 to like the fucking weather app out there that has exclusive access to government data, but because that, or well, no, it wouldn't be government data because they wouldn't be collecting data anymore. This company would have to set up their own weather stations, pay their own people, and that's why you're paying $6 to get your phone to yell at you when a tornado's coming. Twisters 2 is going to be a whole different fucking movie here in about 5-6 years. I'm just saying. Because the entire thing's going to revolve around Republicans privatizing weather alerts. I guarantee you. All right, and then finally we've got Robert Reich here laying out some fuck around and find out. So there were voters in Missouri that passed a ballot initiative enacting paid sick leave and raising the minimum wage. Sounds good, right? Of course, that's liberal bullshit. So in response, the Republican state legislature repealed paid sick leave and scrapped a key provision of the wage increase. So the Republican state heard the voters of Missouri and then was
just
like,
wanted to say you don't have to be a good person to get into heaven. You just gotta suck my dick.
And then the legislature, like,
yep. The Republican-controlled state legislature was like, nope, we see that all the voters definitely want these key things, paid sick leave and raising the minimum wage. But you know what? We don't like that none. That sounds like liberal nonsense. Pull yourselves up by whatever fucking bootstraps you might have and make more money, you fucking poor-ass, vulnerable people.
they should lose their jobs because they're supposed to represent the will of the people.
They are supposed to represent the will of the people, honey, but the conservatives don't represent the will of the people. They represent the will of the corporations. And the corporations don't want to pay a raised minimum wage. The corporations don't want to pay for sick leave because that cuts into their profits so that fucking Billy Bob CEO up there can't buy his Lambo next year to put next to his other fucking Lambos. Is it Vandalia or Vandalia? I got it right the first time, first try. Vandalia, 1998 says the second civil war within America or every other country attacking us, which is more likely. I mean, why not both? I feel like both. Like if we start invading Greenland and the Panama Canal and Denmark. Yeah, he kind of let all that kind of shit slip by, didn't he? I mean, we're supposed to be invading Greenland and shit, and the only thing we've done is send J.D. Vance and his wife out there to look pretty homely.
To kill the Pope.
Yeah, and then send him to kill the Pope and install the new Chicago Pope.
And didn't he start a war or something?
Well, no, he took credit. So Trump took credit for resolving it was like an India-Pakistan conflict, but both sides said, yeah, Trump didn't do shit. But Trump is still taking credit for brokering it.
I'm pretty sure that they sent Vance out there and the next day there was a bombing or something, like a war started.
Oh, maybe. I didn't hear about that one, but it seems right up Vance's alley with him fucking around with people. Vance went to India, fucked the couch, and then they're like, we're not standing for this shit. This motherfucker came over here and fucked our best couch. We didn't expect that. We thought all that shit was internet rumor shit, but I saw the motherfucker. He just took down his pants and was like, this lazy boy is getting the dick. And then fucked it. Anyways, so conservatives out there, any conservatives, don't vote for conservatives. The conservatives right now are representing the corporations and not you. They don't give a shit about you. So, whatever. Anyway, Elizabeth Richardson.
I don't know this, but when you get to heaven, your moral actions are not judged. You're only judged for believing in me. Thank you.
It's fucking right. Okay, Elizabeth Richardson says, Missouri reps said we're too stupid to know what we voted for in legalizing abortion too. Now they're adding gender-affirming care in the new amendment to make sure it doesn't pass this time. So they're adding, Missouri Republicans, conservatives are really fucking shitty. I don't
know this, but when you get to heaven, your moral actions are not judged. You're only judged for believing in me. Thank you.
Daniel M says that's why I'm fucked. I live in Illinois and worked in Missouri. Shit, that really does fucking suck there, bud. But anyways, I'm so sorry for all of that. All that really sucks. I hope that you guys can overcome the dipshits in Missouri. I feel like the recent history has shown not, but maybe this time people will waketh the fucketh up. Who knows? All right, heathens. Well, that's going to be it for me tonight. I hope that you guys enjoyed my presence here. We need to go out. There's always the entrance, praise and worship songs, and now we got the exit one. Let's continue. I don't have a lighter, but I'd have one right now. See y'all later. Bye, everybody. Holy shit, there are some dipshits out there. Yep. Thank you so much, Brocephus, for doing that. I appreciate you. Oh, okay. Well, I hope you fucking burn in hell there, GE.
What the fuck?
That's just how we say we love each other.
No, it isn't. That's toxic.
Listen, you're just being emotional right now.
Normal.
honey, I don't think you're being emotional. I think Cephas is.
Asshole.
Yes, bro Cephas is an asshole. Goodbye, bro Cevius. That should be read bitch. Anyways, I know you couldn't read it because I'm just talking right now and there's not captions. Okay, so hold on, let me get my notes kind of reset here. I did have to take some notes for the video tonight because, like I said, there's a couple of them that were actually new. All right, what's up, heathens? Again, if you would like to send in a super chat, like the many super chatters who have already sent in a super chat, as you see, Gesundheit.
Sorry.
You're okay. I will directly interact with you, and I totally appreciate everybody, even those that sent in super chats during Brocephus this time. I'm so sorry you had to interact with Brocephus, but yeah. Anyways, so this is Michael Knowles here, and he is with Dr. Jeremiah Johnston. Now, I do have a video, a script that's written up responding to Jeremiah's Shroud of Turin claims. He went on CBN and spouted off a lot of stuff. Now, on this video, this is only about half of the video that was originally posted. I cut it down because the very first part of this only talks about one artifact, and that's the Shroud of Turin. I'm going to be covering that in another video that I've got to record this weekend. So we'll be doing that then. And you'll be hearing about how fucked up the entire situation is around the Shroud of Turin. Now we're going to get to this guy and Dr. Jeremiah Johnston, who's going to be talking about these various artifacts that apparently prove that Jesus existed in history. I didn't have high hopes for the artifacts, although I was surprised by two of the artifacts that were brought up. I was not surprised to learn that they are total bullshit. So sorry to ruin, spoiler alert, they're all bullshit, but let's see what they got. Where the fuck did he put my, oh, there it is. Also, did that motherfucker call you honey?
Yeah, like twice.
I'm gonna have to go kick his ass.
This is another one of those men are too emotional.
We are not emotional! Anyways, all right. let's get to this. I've got to rearrange my thing here. Okay, here we go. All right. So what up, Michael Knowles? Let's see what you got here.
Jeremiah, you've got this book, this project here, 10 historic finds that bring us face to face with our Lord. So viewers will be familiar with the shroud. They'll be familiar now with the Sudarium of Oviedo, the headcloth of Christ. I don't even know that I'm familiar with the other. What are the other historic finds that bring us face to face with Christ?
Okay, so like that little headcloth thing, if I remember correctly, the headcloth is we can't actually date it to the 1st century, for one. For two, there's no way that we can tie it to a Jesus figure. But also 3, like, I don't understand how the headcloth works with the Shroud of Turin. Because, I mean, if you're going to say that the Shroud of Turin is a representative of Jesus, then, like, but he also had the headcloth on. Wouldn't the headcloth, like, take all, like, wouldn't there be a diminished head on the Shroud of Turin? Like, Jeremiah Johnston definitely uses a Shroud of Turin, but if you say the headcloth too, like, maybe the headcloth is something different.
Or maybe the headcloth was over the shroud. The shroud would have been over the headcloth. I don't know. Maybe the headcloth was over the shroud and not under.
Maybe, but then that would make it like she was saying that the maybe the headcloth was over the shroud and not under it. But then I feel like if that were the case, then how are we tying it to fucking Jesus in the first place?
Oh, because
they're just making shit up.
Yes.
Thank you, hon. Do you want to get on the mic again this week?
I don't take too long.
Hold on, let me look real quick into this whole headcloth thing because I forgot to look into that. Let's see. Huh? Yeah, let's see. It's a blood-stained linen cloth. The claim is that it's the cloth that covered Jesus's face after his death, but before the body was wrapped in the shroud. It was first recorded in 631 CE in Seville. Moved to Oviedo in the 8th century to protect it from Muslim invasions. It's currently held in the Oviedo Cathedral in Camara Santa, Spain. So, my initial here is that this headcloth thing is not like there's no way to determine that if it actually is the bloodstains of Christ, of Jesus rather. It being first recorded in 631 is really suspect. I mean, obviously that's prior to. Oh, okay.
Well, I do actually have a question about that.
Okay.
So the headcloth was written about 700 years before the shroud was ever heard of.
Yeah, it appeared before the shroud appeared. Yep.
Okay. So they never mentioned the shroud when the headcloth appeared. Like it wasn't mentioned that the headcloth was before the shroud. It was just the headcloth was a thing, and then 600-700 years later, the shroud was a thing.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. Like as far as because I've never heard of a headcloth being put on Jesus, other than during the Passion, like when he's dragging the cross up and like a woman bats his face and she comes away with like the smiley face of Jesus. Yeah, kind of like in a Forrest Gump movie. I know that's not a headcloth. I'm just saying like that's the only cloth as far as cloth and head thing that I remember from anything. I've never known about any kind of headcloth kind of deal. But anyways, I've got what the experts say about it.
I just think it's interesting that the headcloth was 600 to 700 years or so before the shroud, and supposedly it was put on his face or his head before the shroud was put on. Mm-hmm. And yet for 700 years, no one mentioned the shroud, but we had the headcloth. Yep. Seems a little sus.
Yep. So let's see. What do the experts say about this? There's no image. It's just blood. So unlike the Shroud of Turin, the Sundarium contains no image. So I really only what are claimed to be bloodstains and bodily fluids. So I don't know how they're actually attaching this to Jesus. It seems to me like somebody just claimed, yep, this is his headcloth. Anyways, next are radiocarbon dating problems. It has never been definitively carbon dated in the same way the shroud has. The few tests that have been referenced are non-peer reviewed, conducted by pro-authenticity groups like the Spanish Centro Español de Sindologia, whatever, CES, which lacks independent scientific oversight. Joe Nickel, a skeptical investigator, said that the Sundarium's provenance can only be traced back to the 7th century, and there's no credible evidence it existed before that. Its association with Jesus is purely legendary. The blood type claims are shaky. Dr. Stephen D. Schaefersman, a geologist and skeptic, says the Sundarium of Oviedo is yet another pious fraud, one of hundreds of relics fabricated or misattributed during the Middle Ages to capitalize on religious fervor. It's historically untraceable before the 7th century. Yeah, so I mean,
do you want to know the story?
Huh?
You want to know the story that they tell about it?
Sure.
Okay, so apparently Saint Joseph of Arimathea gave it to Saint Peter, who sometimes used it as a relic when praying for someone to be healed. It was later apparently cared for by religious women in a cave close to the monastery of St. Mark on the far side of the Jordan River. Its history took a turn when the Persians invaded Jerusalem and in 612. So and then apparently in 612 it was taken to Alexandria, Egypt, along with many other relics. Only 2 years later, the Persians conquered this city as well. But by that time, the chest of relics was on its way to Spain, where it was placed in the custody of Saint Isidore, the Bishop of Seville.
Yep, Seville.
We've been to Seville.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so that head cloth thing seems to be a totally bunk. Another just like fraudulent.
There's
relic.
more.
Huh?
There's more. This is so interesting. Like that they just like have all of this backstory. Again, probably just making shit up.
Yeah. Well, especially because they attribute it to who is it? Joseph of Arimathea.
Yeah.
He was a made up individual for the Gospels. Like, there's no record outside of the Gospels of this motherfucker existing.
Well, and they don't say where that story comes from. It just says an ancient tradition claims that.
Right.
So, like, there's no sourcing for that anyway. But when did it say it was found?
632 in Seville is when it surfaced.
Yeah, so that was when the Muslim, I guess, invasion happened.
Yeah.
And then the Moors invaded Spain in 711. And the Christians feared for their relics. They fled north to the mountains. This is like kept in caves and mountains and shit. Like, I don't know. It's weird. But yeah, it seems like when it got to Seville, that's when they kind of figured out.
Yeah. All right. So I do want to point this out. Does anybody else think that Jeremiah Johnston over here looks like he's about to sell you a used car that definitely is going to, fail after you drive it off the lot? Like, I totally feel like he's trying to convince you to buy this lemon. You got to have this lemon. And trust me, it's not a lemon. That's the feeling that I get just from how he's looking right now.
I think he looks like a
there.
prosperity pastor.
A prosperity pastor?
Mm-hmm.
You can only get the saving grace of Jesus if you send in that $10,000 you're keeping in your sock right now.
Well, you made such a fantastic point a moment ago in that unlike any other religion in the world, Christianity puts itself to a historical test. You were mentioning Islam earlier. Archaeology is no friend of Islam. Archaeology is no friend of any of the made in America cults or religions like Mormonism or Jehovah's Witnesses. Christianity puts itself to the historical test based on the physical bodily resurrection of Jesus and the existence of Christ himself. And most Christians are unaware that I
think that's rather interesting considering that the historical veracity of the gospel story or of any of the scriptures of Christians, none of that was important to the first church fathers. None of them actually cared about whether or not it was historically true. They just cared about the spiritual truth of the story. So it's quite interesting that apparently now Christianity puts itself at the mercy of historians when traditionally in the past they just haven't. Even now the quote unquote historians that study the Bible, the New Testament scholars as well as the theologians, they make special criteria so that their fucking field stays relevant.
Well, also, I'm going to have to take issue with him saying that, the Made in America cults. I'm sorry, Jehovah's Witnesses and Mormons are Christians.
Right.
They're just other denominations of Protestant Christianity. I don't really understand why they think they're different than Baptists or Lutherans or any of the others. They're not different. I mean, they are different. They're all different, but they're still Christians.
Just wanted to say you don't have to be a good person to get into heaven. You just got to suck my dick.
Daniel M. says, if these relics were actually real, wouldn't we expect to see extremely careful documentation to actually prove that shit? You would think so there, Daniel. You would think that there would be good documentation to prove it, but no such luck.
Also, the Catholic Church... they do documentation, and they have always done documentation. So if the Catholic Church had some shit or knew about some shit, it would be fucking documented.
Yep.
No question.
But-
and they keep all their fucking documents like very well preserved. Like they don't fuck around.
No, they don't fuck around. And that's why it's so damning that these relics don't appear in the historical record until the medieval time period. Because with the headcloth there being in the 7th century, and then like the Shroud of Turin not appearing until the 13th, 14th century, those are both damning. The fact that they don't show up in the historical record until then.
Mm-hmm.
Build 65 facts, Michael, about the life, death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus using extra biblical sources, which is archaeology and other historians, before I ever open the New Testament.
So my guess is that the other historians that are referencing these things about the resurrection and all this other stuff, they're just getting their information from the Bible. So you can't really say that they're independent references to it. They're just reporting what the Bible says, which just means that you're just using the Bible. This is some circular fucking shit right here.
Also, there's no archaeological evidence of Jesus. None. Zero.
Yeah, there's zip zilch, zero evidence, archaeological evidence of Jesus. I don't know how you would have that.
Well, and this is like aside from mythicism, like mythicism aside, that we don't have to have archaeological evidence for Jesus to have existed.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I don't want anybody to think this is like a mythicist thing. It's not. There just is no archaeological evidence confirming the existence of Jesus. There just isn't. So when they say archaeological evidence proves, no, it doesn't. No, it fucking doesn't.
Because there is none. All right.
When I studied in Oxford, they would say things to me like, oh, don't privilege the New Testament text. We don't want to privilege that book. That's just an old dusty book. Don't privilege that. And so what can we learn? And so what I want to do in the Jesus Discoveries, the 10 historic finds that bring us face to face with Jesus, is, of course, update people on the Shroud. And we've done that. But there's so much more. For example, we have the Jesus Cup. That
What do you think, honey? What do you think the Jesus Cup would be?
I mean, it's either something he drank out of or something he wore over his dick.
It's neither of those things.
Oh, okay. Well, fuck. What's the Jesus Cup?
We're about to find out.
Okay.
was just discovered by Frank Baggio. He was a marine biologist. This was just discovered in 2008 in the water scuba diving in Alexandria. Notice that part of the cup is chipped off, and let me read it to you in Greek. It says, Ho goestes die Christou. This is a cup dated to the 1st century, and in English, that means through Christ, the magician or the enchanter. Now, that might confuse some of the people walking like, wait a minute, Christ the enchanter, Christ the magician? You have to realize that even before the resurrection of Jesus, Jesus' fame spread first and foremost as a miracle worker and as an exorcist. And what this shows us is that, and by the way, if this is indeed 1st century, we have the name of Christ around AD 50. And Michael,
we got a new member.
Mark Fernkoff says the Jesus Cup is the trophy that you win in the carry the crucifix up the hill foot race. Yeah, okay. So you won't be surprised to know that there were a lot of supposed Christs for the Jewish people. Obviously, you know, this used car salesman is about to shoot himself in the foot here. But there was actually another Christ figure that was named Jesus that actually was proclaimed to be a magician.
We got a new member.
Dumping Trash says new merchandise in the GE store, the new Jesus Cup. Remember, Casey is almost always right.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was a Jesus figure in the 1st century BCE that was eventually also worshipped as the Christ. by a certain segment of Christians that developed. Except he existed under King Janaeus. He was killed in a totally different way for different circumstances. He was called a magician and all this other stuff. So like this could be a relic referencing that Jesus. But one thing to note here is that Christ is actually a title. And another thing to note is that this is written in Greek on the pot, on this cup. And that's going to be something that's significant here in a second. But I do want Johnston here to shoot himself in the fucking dick.
You realize that predates, that antedates any of the New Testament writings. So this could be the first incised word, Christ, that we have from an artifact, and was just discovered in 2008.
Wow.
Wow. That's crazy. Jamie, look that up. Is that true?
But like, I don't know. I'm with you. Like Christ is a title, not a name.
Right. But it's also very important that it's written in Greek. Those, especially the time frame that he claims that it's from, you would not have Christians that would know how to write in Greek. They would be writing in Aramaic if they could write at all. And so the fact that they're writing in Greek should say a couple of things to you. One, the way that you were taught to write in Greek was by attending pagan schools. So these would have been people that would have been attending pagan schools. That doesn't necessarily mean that they are pagan, but the most likely thing is that they were pagan. That's for one thing. For two, being that it's written in Greek, this Christ the magician or the enchanter, as it's sometimes rendered, it can reference, literally anybody. It's not like a direct reference to a Jesus. Like this Christ figure could have just not even been named Jesus. He could have been named fucking Bob, so it's not directly referencing Jesus whatsoever. So it seems like, somebody related to the pagan religions at the time who learned how to write in Greek chiseled this on the Jesus pot.
I also found an interesting article on a website called evidenceforchristianity.org.
Yeah.
About this cup.
Yeah.
Okay. So the author of this, I don't know who John Oakes is. Dr. John Oakes. He's a scholar, I believe, but I'm not sure. Wrote in it was written in archaeology and the Bible. Okay. And he says, careful, professional archaeologists have completely debunked this find as being a reference to the Jesus of the New Testament. Here are a few reasons. One, the object has been dated to somewhere between the late 2nd century BC and the early 1st century AD. Therefore, it is only a very small probability it comes from a time when Jesus of Nazareth was known as his ministry started in about 27 AD.
I want to pause you right there.
Okay.
Because I want to point out to everybody that Johnston claimed that it dates to just after or just before the Gospels were written. So this is like, he says it's early 1st century, and the actual dating is more like second.
It's the late 2nd century BC.
Oh, BC.
Yes, the late 2nd century BC and the early 1st century AD. So the AD 27, when Jesus's ministry would have started, is like a late date for this cup. The cup is earlier than that. Okay. So that's what he's saying. The earliest reasonable time for that bowl to turn up in Alexandria with a reference to Jesus Christ of the New Testament is perhaps AD 35, which is the absolute limit of the date given for the bowl. So it's a very small probability given the dating. Two, those who say that the word on the cup is Christos.
Yeah.
Show evidence of being biased because there is a vowel between the R and S, rho and sigma. The vowel is not an E, it is an E, not an I, which means the word in question is almost certainly not Christos, but Krestos, which means kind or good. The most likely translation of the cup, therefore, is something like through the kindness of a magician. Anyone who publishes an article who does not even mention this problem shows extreme bias or lack of careful scholarship and should be ignored. Even if the word was Christos and not Krestos, and even if the cup was from the very end of the period in question, the likelihood this inscription is a reference to the person we know as Jesus Christ is extremely low. Christos was not only used as a reference to Jesus, which you talked about, right? Because it was a title. Yeah, so that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and Johnston's actually gonna finish off shooting himself in the dick here in just a minute.
Okay, sorry. I thought this was interesting because it kind of there are other writings where people say it's Christos but it's Crestus, or Christus but it's Crestus, and so they have the same problem here with this cup.
Yeah.
So there you go.
And I also wondered if would the cup be liturgical? I mean, would it be used in a Christian practice, or would it be more like a kind of memento or souvenir of people who are not exactly Christian?
Well, this is a great question that you're asking. It would have been used in some kind of syncretistic religious or pagan practice. This is the point of Jesus.
So he admits, this is him right in the dick. He admits that this was not used by Christians. This was not a cup that was used by Christians at all. It was used in pagan cults, and he calls them syncretistic, meaning that the pagans were trying to integrate Christianity into their religion, is what he's trying to insinuate here. But with the dating of it and everything like that, from the 2nd century to 1st century BCE, the AD even, this does not seem like there's no way that in like 35 AD they were like calling Christ a magician and like doing spells and shit in the pagans. Like it was struggling to be accepted by the fucking Jews at that point.
It wasn't
Christianity that is.
Right. I mean, so like this was not like widespread. They have today's thinking. They have today's thinking caps on, and they're applying how shit is today to back then. And that's just not, it's just not appropriate. It's not believable.
Yeah, they're definitely being anachronistic here.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's fucking ridiculous.
He goes on to explain, though, about why he's not being ridiculous.
Also, how the fuck would they know how the cup was used? It was found in fucking water 2,000 years later.
Yeah, it was. So the reason why we can be certain that it's not a Christian artifact and that it was used, in these ceremonies and everything, is that of where it was found is found in Alexandria and not in Judea. I guess it matches other pottery that was used that had specific magical contexts that were being used. Mm-hmm. And it associates Greek magical inscriptions, which often included syncretic religious language. So, like, it matches other pagan magical relics at that time that they would actively use.
You know what I want to do? I want to hide some of our fucking weird coffee mugs places, like in water somewhere, like bury them somewhere, and that say weird shit on them, and see what people think about them. In 2,000 years. This
crazy.
Was used for... No, it wasn't. It was for my fucking coffee.
Yeah.
Like...
All right. Let's see how Johnston makes sense of all this.
Jesus' fame spreads much further than the land of Israel because individuals realized if we insert this name Jesus, it has power associated to it. So whether you're a pagan, whether you're a Jew, whether you might be a follower of Yeshua, when you use the name of Jesus, things happen. Isn't that?
But they didn't use the name of Jesus.
Well, no, I mean, so magical names were often integrated by, and I thought about trying to find this earlier, but you know how what I feel like he's describing here is, you know how Benny in the Mummy movie with Brendan Fraser, Benny when he encounters the mummy, he just takes out his all of his necklaces, and he starts praying in every single language until he gets to Judaism, and he starts praying in Hebrew and everything, and that stops him. I kind of feel like it's that situation here. Like, this Johnston guy is like, oh, yeah, well, even Jesus was so powerful that even pagans were using his name for the power.
But they weren't using his name. His name wasn't on the cup. The name Jesus was not on the cup.
The name Jesus wasn't on the cup. The title Christ was, as far as Johnston claims, but it was actually Christus, not Christos.
So, I mean, but even if it had been Christos on the cup, even if it had been that on the cup, he didn't say that. He said they're invoking the name of Jesus.
Right.
No, they didn't. They didn't. Christ is not his name. No, no wonder the way that they talk. No wonder so many fucking people, like Christians, grow up believing that Jesus was his first name and Christ is his last name.
Yeah, I'm one of those people. He's playing kind of a weird equivocation game here, because he's equivocating Christ with Jesus as if Christ and Jesus are interchangeable for one. Especially at this time, right? Christ and Jesus being basically the same name or whatnot, not really recognizing that Christ has a title, and that Jews often, like, there were several Jewish sects that had different people that they considered to be Christ. Like, there was in the 1st century BCE, there was King Jannaeus, who some Jews thought that he was the Christ, and they developed an entire dying and rising theology surrounding King Onias III's death. And around Onias III, sorry, not Jannaeus, but King Onias. And so, like, there were Jews that had already developed a dying and rising Messiah theology, because they had already attached the title Christ to another individual. So it's like, if they're saying, if it even says Christ on the cup, it could be referencing one of the many Christs that came prior to the supposed time of Jesus.
That fascinating. And you have to understand, in Mark's gospel, remember the disciples approach him in St. Mark's gospel, and they're like, Master, people are casting out demons by your name. Yeah. And that's when Jesus responds and said, those that are a house divided against itself cannot stand. Let them do what they're doing.
Hold on. Let's see. Bible verse. Gospel of Mark. See, that's Mark 9:38-40. Let's see,
I don't know if y'all know this, but when you get to heaven, your moral actions are not judged. You're only judged for believing in me. Thank you.
This is Mark 9. Sorry,
I
hold
can
on.
read the super chat if you want while you're looking.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Super chat from Daniel M. Thank you for sending that. It says, I like how Jesus is popular when it suits them, but just an insignificant rabbi when they need him to be to fit the evidence or lack thereof. That's a good point, and it's true. They definitely change their story and their posture as it suits them to do so. That's absolutely, for sure, something that they do.
Yep. So Mark 9:38, it does have another exorcist. So basically, John says to Jesus, Teacher, we saw someone casting out demons in your name, and we tried to stop him because he was not following us. But Jesus said, Do not stop him, for no one who does a deed of power in my name will be able soon afterward to speak evil of me. Whoever is not against us is for us. For truly I tell you, whoever gives you a cup of water to drink because you bear my name, bear the name of Christ, will by no means lose the reward. Okay, well, I guess I questioned that a little bit there, just because, like, in Mark, Jesus is very much like hey, don't like go out there saying a whole bunch of shit about me. Like, you know, don't make a big deal about me or anything like that. So like, it's a little surprising to read that, but in any case, all right. Are you ready to continue, hon?
Mm-hmm.
You realize in his own lifetime, I mean, this is where people don't realize it. In his own lifetime, people are invoking the name of Jesus to bind demons and to heal people. So this is a historical fact. I'm not doing some kind of weird religious trance. You and I.
Yes, you are.
No. Yeah, it's not a historical fact because this is something that's in Mark. Mark is not a historical document in the way that it comports with history. We don't actually know what is historical and what's not historical in Mark, if anything is historical. So this is not a historical fact. It's a fact that occurs in the Gospel of Mark, but that does not mean that it actually happened historically. So like...
It's also important to note these documents are not contemporary to the time.
Right. These are written, Mark was written in 70, which was 40 years after.
So these aren't historical facts written down. We have no idea what... I know a lot of people talk about the red letters, the words of Jesus. The red letters are the words of Jesus. These are supposedly his words, quotes from Jesus. There's absolutely no way anybody would know that.
Right.
None. It was never documented at the time. Never.
Right. And one of the key things, whenever somebody gives you like a verse like Johnston kind of did right there, and he talks about something as a historical fact, go back and look at it. And if you look at the entire context, if you'll remember what I just read, it was like, oh, here's this event that happened. And then, you know, there's an explanation of why the event is there. It was there to teach a theological concept about, you know, casting demons out in Jesus's name or using Jesus's power to do things. Like there was a theological reason to include that. And so that's why you can't necessarily say that that's a historical event when there's a theological need for that story in there to teach that theological point. So like, Johnston's just a shitty scholar. Like, I don't know where he printed his fucking PhD from, but I mean, I feel like maybe he needs to, like, they need to get their degree back.
Well, also, any of these guys, when they're like, this is a historical fact, all it does is make me think of, who's the stupid ass that in the song at the beginning of your streams? Matt Powell.
Matt Powell.
Pterodactyls. It's a historical fact. Look it up.
Yeah.
Pterodactyls in the Civil War.
Yeah.
So whenever I hear was it civil or revolutionary?
Civil.
Civil War. Yeah. So not nothing matters. They're fucking pterodactyls. As if it would be true for one and not the other. So yeah. Anytime these guys are like, look it up, it's a historical fact. It's probably not.
No.
It's probably not. But
Are not
definitely look it up.
Huh?
But definitely look it up.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Just trance right now. We're just following the archaeology. And this is what I have likened to call the Jesus Cup. And so in the Jesus Discoveries, I'm going to share how this brings us face to face with Jesus, the healer. He was known first and foremost as someone who would heal. He could even heal, or he could exorcise demons through long distance. He didn't even have to be there. And you have to understand, I've written a lot of stuff on Islam. I was fascinated by your comments about Islam earlier in the program today. I would encourage people to go watch those immediately if you haven't. ISIS made $100 million selling artifacts on the black market. And I had a reporter embedded with ISIS that was sending me some of the artifacts that they were trying to sell. And they had a Jewish spell book that had actually a mummified bat on the front of it. And they were asking me to adjudicate these things. And Judaism was very superstitious. Judaism
was superstitious. Not my Christianity. Nope, no sorry. We're not superstitious, not one bit.
Their religion's weird, but mine is true.
Yeah. It seems like a weird flex to be like, yeah, they were magical. We're not magical. We just drink the blood of our Lord. And then we proceed to eat his body and suck his dick. I mean, that last part's just primarily paraphrasing on mine end, but you know.
Yeah.
very much into magic spells and charms, which leads us to our next discovery.
What the fuck do they think prayer is?
What do they think the
relics.
crucifix or like the crosses that Christians wear? Like
fucking charms.
You don't think those are fucking charms? You think fucking bullshit Barbie stands up there every day with her bullshit charm on because it has no meaning to her? She doesn't think that it does anything? Like, what the fuck?
It protects them.
Also, if you notice, Christians, they cast incantations over their food before they eat it because somehow that makes a difference.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, that feels like white people seasoning.
It's that's mayonnaise.
Yeah, it has no taste. And it doesn't do, like, I don't know, mayonnaise is a little bit better because it actually does things on occasion.
But it's fascinating to me that even Jews would use the name of Jesus from antiquity because
he was Jewish.
Oh my God, the motherfucker was Jewish. The name is Jewish in origin. The name in Hebrew is Yeshua, which is directly tied to Yahweh. What the fuck are you talking about? Has this motherfucker never heard of Philo of Alexandria? Philo of Alexandria alludes to the Logos, who he attaches to this one figure in Zechariah, who is named fucking Jesus. Holy shit. How am I, a somewhat uneducated engineer from Hickville, USA, know more about Judaism and Christianity and how they intersect and the origins of Christianity than the motherfucker that apparently went to school for it?
Because you actually studied it from an objective, well, as objective as possible. We all have biases, right? But as objective as possible, a standpoint where he would not have done so. Because most places where you learn these things are religious based. Not all, but most. I don't know where he went to school.
Yeah. It just pisses me off when it's like, you know, this motherfucker went to school for this, studied for it, read books. He's got at least 2 books. He's got like a body of proof that's supposed to prove the resurrection. And then now he's got this bullshit artifacts book. And so like he's writing these books, making this money off of it. And like, he's like, who would have known that Jews would have used the name Jesus? Every fucking body that has studied this bullshit, Jeremiah.
It had so much power. Can I show you the next one?
That's a great cliffhanger. Yeah. What's the next one?
Okay, the next one is these Jewish magic bowls. This is
So we had a magic cup and now we have magic bowls.
We've got magic cup. Now we've got magic fucking bowls.
But Christianity is definitely not magic.
Christianity's not magical.
Are they called incantation bowls?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is really interesting to me. So you have what's called magic bowls or prayer bowls. And if you check this out, Michael, these are bowls, okay? And these would be used also in some kind of religious pagan practice. But
they're used in religious pagan practices. Pagan. They were used by pagans. Why is this proof of Jesus?
if you hated your boss, like you're kind of upset at your producer right now, God bless Joseph. And if you want to put a hex of insomnia on him, just use one of these.
Yeah. I don't need to put a hex of insomnia on Professor because he does 15 milligram Zins all day and talks to his girlfriend all night. So I don't have, but I might do it anyway.
This is so fucking weird. Like, I mean, you're sitting there being like, oh, I could put a hex on you by getting these magical Jewish bowls. Burning some fucking incense in them, and you're gonna be sitting there sleeping at night like, I can't fucking sleep because I smell fucking incense. Where's that coming from?
Anyway, just to be certain.
Well, I'm using that as an example that this is what we actually have from antiquity. These are from the 4th to the 7th century. These are prayer bowls.
I'm sorry.
How did these prove Jesus?
How do artifacts from the 4th century the 300s to the 7th century, the 600s, prove anything about what happened in the 1st century. What connect the dots for me there, Jeremiah, because I see a huge gap that you're just stuffing Jesus's dick into right now, and I can tell you he doesn't have that wide of a chode.
What?
That's mainly Aramaic that you're saying. There's a stick figure that is written in and these could also be love charms, sex charms. If you wanted someone to sleep with you, you would insert the name of Jesus.
Hold on. How fucked up would it be that you use these things in order to try to make your coworker gay or something like that? Like, oh look, I made him fuck his bro, and
or just if you want to get laid, you just put the name of Jesus in the bowl. Like, what the fuck is wrong with it?
I can just imagine it right now. Michael Knowles in his bedroom with his wife, and he's like, I've got something special tonight, baby. And he pulls out one of these bowls, writes the name Jesus down, puts it in the bowl, lights it on fire. Is like, oh yeah.
Oh, he doesn't tell this cool story. You ready? Uh-huh. The bowls were used. They were placed upside down under each corner of a house. Demons would follow the inscribed charms that spiraled from the outer rim inward, only to be caught in the center. They were commonly placed under the threshold, courtyards, and in the corners of homes of the recently deceased, and in cemeteries to catch demons and spirits and shit.
This sounds like the Supernatural, like the TV show. Like, I feel Sam and Dean Winchester went back in time and was like, yes, we have to write in spirals. That way the demon gets trapped in the center of it. And this is some crazy shit.
They certainly would. It's said that they're important. Like, there are around 2,000 of these incantation bowls have been registered archaeological finds. Mm-hmm. And they are an important source for studying everyday beliefs of Jews, Christians, Mandaeans,
mm-hmm.
Manicheans, and Zoroastrians, and pagans. So, I mean, that's fine. That's what they believe. That they're important for figuring out things that they believed or learning about things they believed. But that doesn't prove anything other than that's what they believed.
Yeah, I'm starting to doubt that Jeremiah Johnston here knows anything about how to do historical research.
Prayer thing. If you hated your boss, you would insert the name of Christ. And these are all Jewish magic bowls that invoke the name of Jesus because the name of Jesus has power. I keep coming back to this, that
if you hate someone, put Jesus's name on it to voodoo fucking them or what? Yeah. What is this? That doesn't sound very Christian to me.
It sounds very voodoo-y. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head there. So here's what some experts say about it. Gideon Bohawk, so he wrote in the Ancient Jewish Magic from Cambridge University Press. They said late antique magic was highly eclectic. Jewish magical texts might invoke Jesus or Christian saints, not as objects of worship, but as powerful names in a spell book. So it's literally just names in a book that apparently the person thought was powerful after Christianity arose and took significant place on the world stage.
Yeah, I mean, this is cool, but these are cool as artifacts and shit, but they don't prove anything.
Right. Dan Levine, a scholar of Aramaic incantation bowls, says that the presence of Jesus in magical incantations indicates that Jesus was seen by some as a potent magical name, not necessarily as a divine savior. Yuval Harari, a scholar of ancient Jewish texts, says that this was a world where using divine names and magical formula was pragmatic. They didn't care about the theological purity, they cared about results. So, Jesus, as I said before, Jesus, Yeshua, is a very powerful divine name to these people because of its divine connection. It had no other meaning. There was no other reason to suggest that these prove anything about Jesus. So I don't know how Jeremiah actually connects this to the 1st century other than, oh, Jesus was popular by the, checks date, 4th century.
Duh. But also too, like, even if these people were using the name, invoking the name Jesus as a magical, like, because they say not in a deistic way, like not in a way that's, but a magical, like, Jesus was a very popular name
Because of its divine connection, yeah.
But I mean, even before that, right? Like Yeshua was just a common, just 1st century Jew. Like that was a very common name.
Yeah.
So like, I guess it's hard for me to understand how this demonstrates anything other than they believed that this was a magical name.
No, yeah, it only demonstrates that they were magical, like they were magically thinking, and it only mattered for their magical purposes, which isn't real and doesn't exist. But hey, Christianity's not magical, honey, remember.
Then why is he using this as like evidence of Jesus? Like this isn't even archaeological evidence that he existed. This is just hundreds of years later, these people had bowls and like invoked Jesus's name for magic spells.
Yep.
Okay. And I'm struggling to get the point.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
Jesus is so powerful as a miracle worker. We have other religious systems that use his name because it works.
Well, you even think of today, there is close to our border, there's the Santeria religion, which is this
I think it's hilarious that he's like, because it works. How does it work? Like I say, Yeshua. Nothing fucking happens. Maybe it's because I don't believe.
But also, how many billions of Christians invoke Jesus's name in prayer and literally nothing happmes?
Right.
Like, there's a whole song about unanswered prayers, right? So like, I guess I'm still struggling to see the fucking point.
Me too, honey. Me too.
Prophetic religion. And people wonder because it has aspects of like Catholic aesthetics, but it's also like devil worshiping occult stuff, and they worship death and everything. And you think, well, how can that work? And that sounds like that's just a modern version of what you're describing in the 1st and 2nd centuries.
They're like devil worship and they worship death. I'm sorry. Like your whole religion is based off of a dude that fucking died.
Well, and a religion that glorifies.
They wear the mode of death around their necks.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like I just.
Well, and I mean they glorify, their own death. Like they're
going home, and it's like this whole fucking thing. Like, it's weird that they're talking about other shit because they did this earlier too. They're talking about other shit as if it doesn't fucking apply to them too.
Right. Because they don't see it as being magic because it's to Christianity. It's like, that's the only thing. And I've gotten criticism here recently from another YouTube creator here who thinks that I'm being, for lack of a better way to describe it, a dick in comparing Christian ideas to magic and God ideas to magic.
Why?
I don't know. Like I've never had anybody explain to me how the magic that wizards do and everything like that is different from the divine actions of God. It's just that God is the magician in this equation. He does the exact same shit.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But like the fact that Christians were doing magic with these bowls, Jews were doing magic with these bowls. Jews have whole spell books for magical spells. Like, at what point do you just be like, yeah, sure, it's fucking magic, but I still believe it. Like, it's magic.
How are prayers not spells?
Especially like when you pray over your food
Bless us,
or something.
O Lord, for these thy gifts which we are about to receive from thy bounty through Christ our Lord. Explain that to me. Explain it to me how that's not a fucking incantation.
Right.
How is that not a spell?
I don't know. When you pray for your favorite football team to win, dear Lord God, may we please bring this pigskin home and beat these fucking assholes over there? Praise Jesus. Like, how is that not like some kind of like weird hick Southern incantation so that you could win a football game?
I don't know.
Maybe what they should do now is that they should get like not take these bowls because these are antiques, but like get their own bowls, like get some solo cups and like write in these prayers around the cup and everything like that. And then you put them in the four corners of the thing. That way the demons can't fuck them up from catching the football.
You know what this reminds me of?
Huh.
The Tennessee Wraith. What are they called? Tennessee.
Oh, the Wraith Hunters.
The Wraith Hunters. The fucking ghost hunters in Tennessee that build all those fucking contraptions to trap ghosts. Do you remember that show?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's what that reminds me of. That shit's so funny. That's a good show.
Yeah, I got a kick out of it because like there was this one time where some dude was apparently invaded by a demon or something like that, and like he started acting all weird, and then like he had to leave. And I mean, maybe he had some kind of anxiety thing going on. I'm not going to shit on anybody having an anxiety attack. I've had anxiety attacks in the past and everything. They're really shitty. But I mean, I'm just saying, don't sit there and be like, I'm being invaded by a goddamn ghost right now. Oh, I got to get out of here. Like, just you got an anxiety attack. It's fine. Just say you're anxious.
Yeah. Oh, and what about the spell they do when they turn unleavened fucking wafers and wine into literal body and blood? That's not a fucking spell.
That's not magical. Like,
that's not a magical spell.
Like this transubstantiation of blood or wine to blood, bread to body. Like,
to be fair, he's a Protestant, so he does not believe in transubstantiation. He believes that the communion wafers and well, in their case, juice, right, it's symbolic. But in Catholicism, transubstantiation, that's abso-fucking-lutely a magic spell.
Well, right, but I guess I would point out that, like, you know, the transubstantiation view was the majority view until much, much later.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because there weren't Protestants until much, much later.
Right. And so, I mean, it was...
Because despite the fact that Protestants don't like to admit this, Catholics... organized, right? The first organized Christianity was Catholicism. Catholicism is the OG, right?
OG!
Aside from Jewish Christians, which again, we're talking organized, pulling the religion together. Yeah.
Right.
It's this work syncretism, and it's also something the cults do. You know, everyone wants to hijack Jesus. This is when I teach the historical Jesus, and this is where you do this so well, Michael. We have to make sure we're talking about the Jesus of the New Testament.
Well, okay, yeah, you do, but also you're totally missing the point that Christianity is a syncretism of Judaism and mystery cults. That's pretty blatant and obvious, but he's trying to reform it into, pagans are trying to steal from Christianity. And of course, apologists are going to want to do that because they don't want to admit that their religion is just a mixture of other religions to form their new religion. But I mean, you really can't sit there and act like, people are stealing from Christianity. It's like, no. Christianity co-opted from other people.
That's exactly the word I was going to say. I was going to say Christians literally co-opted pagan holidays to get people to come to their side.
Right. And that's where like a lot of atheists misinterpret that because like Christians definitely developed their own holidays for their own reasons, but they co-opted other religious holidays by, being like, they've got a holiday here. Now we do too.
Well, also,
we got a holiday doing the same shit.
Well, also, if they wanted to convert pagans into Christianity, they realized that the traditions that people have are important to them. So they used that to their advantage so that people could still celebrate the holidays that they're used to celebrating, just under the guise of Christianity, with some slight differences because now it's Christian, right? Now this is what they're celebrating, but we're still doing this. We're still having the festivals and the same things that we did before. And so because there's no way they could just tell people, leave all that shit behind, you're not doing that anymore, and actually convert people. They needed to have some sort of integration.
Right. A good example of this is All Saints Day, which, eventually translated into, the All Saints Day on November 1st that comes right after Samhain or Halloween, right before it, right? So, like, that's how, like, they actually picked up, the reason why I say this is a good example, they fucking picked up and moved All Saints Day from earlier in the year to the end of the year just so that they could co-opt Samhain. It's fucked up.
Jesus of the Bible, because everyone wants to be on good terms with Jesus. Even Islam wants to be on good terms with Isa, as they call him in the Islamic trilogy. But there's another one I've got to get to if we have time, Michael. Can I get to one more?
Please.
So here I am. I'm living in Oxford, 2009 to 2012, and don't know what I don't know, but just learning as I can.
I doubt that. He's not learned shit. Learning requires active engagement in the evidence in this particular respect, in this particular context. And all he's been doing is memorizing apologetics. I feel like memorizing apologetics is different than learning. I feel like learning is a much more intensive sort of action, whereas memorizing is just like, oh, here we go, Frank Turek's books. I'm going to learn everything in here. I'm going to memorize everything in here, and I'm just going to spout the exact same shit that he spouts.
Yeah, he definitely hasn't learned how to do any kind of logical processing.
Working on my PhD, a 93,000 word thesis on the physical bodily resurrection of Jesus. And I realized...
That's what he wrote his PhD paper on.
Yeah, his theological thesis. And I think he turned that into his body of proof book is what he did.
Resurrection, That's what he picked?
Yep.
Actual physical bodily resurrection. Because
not enough scholars are investigating that magical event.
To each their own, but I'm not sure I'd do my dissertation on that.
No.
Of course it worked for him, I guess. He got his PhD, right?
That the earliest fragment of the Gospel of Matthew is hidden in the old library of Magdalen. We have to say it like we're from the medieval period, by the way. Michael is a good gentleman. Not Magdalen. No. Don't show you're a dumb American and show up in Oxford and say Magdalen. Say Magdalen College. Right. I'm in Magdalen College in the old library, and check this out. These are 3 fragments. These are not scrolls. These are fragments with Greek writing on the front and back. As we say in papyrology, that is the recto and verso, both sides. So this would come out of an ancient book called a codex. This is the earliest fragment that we have.
To me, these are recto and verso. All that says to me is we pulled them out of our ass. That's it. Yeah. That's all I got.
Of the Gospel of Matthew. It's dated to the 2nd century. Now, Carson Peter Teed in 1994 dated it to the 1st century. Okay. And for interesting reasons. I'm not putting my academic reputation on trial right now to say whether it's first or second. What we can say is it's the earliest fragment of Matthew. It's from Matthew 26, and it's called the Jesus fragment because this is the first fragment that we have from antiquity that invokes the name of Jesus.
Huh.
Yeah, 2nd century, and they talk about Jesus and the religion that primarily is based around the figure Jesus, the character Jesus. How does this prove that Jesus existed as a historical figure? And to be specific here, he's got 3 pieces. The one that he's referring to here are probably Papyrus 64 and 67, but there's also a Papyrus 1 and a Papyrus 104 that are sometimes referenced. But yeah, so it's most likely dated to the late 2nd century, and just because like we have pieces of an early codex in the end of the 2nd century does not mean that the information relayed by those codices are accurate to history. So this is literally nothing as far as the current conversation goes. This does not prove anything. This just proves that Matthew was definitely written by the late 2nd century. That's all that you can say.
And it's those 3 fragments. And there's some things that I want our audience to know. This is not on display in some library. I mean, can you believe this, Michael? Like, I had to set up an appointment with the old library with Magdalen College, and they brought it out in something that looked...
Yes, they're from the 2nd fucking century. You think they're just going to put that on display for Hillbilly Bob to come by and like fucking sneeze on it or some shit? Like, what the fuck?
They could put it in shadow box.
I mean, they could put it in a shadow box, but I mean, there's other things other than the hillbilly like sneezing on it, because then you're just gonna have to clean the shadow box. But like,
well, I mean, you have light.
Yeah, there's light, that electromagnetic radiation that can deteriorate it. Like, I mean, there's a lot of considerations, here for this. I mean, they probably keep it under lock and key because it's from the 2nd fucking century. God damn.
Kind of like a shoebox. And this is my own photo that I took. And this is why my new book, The Jesus Discoveries, are so important, because we don't realize how well evidenced Jesus is.
Right.
Because
No, he's not well evidenced. Like, even Bart Ehrman will tell you that he's not well evidenced. Well, I guess it depends on what day you ask Bart Ehrman. Because on one hand, Bart Ehrman will say that Jesus is the most well-attested 1st century person ever.
And then he'll say the Gospels are bullshit.
Yeah, he'll say that the Gospels are bullshit and we know next to nothing about Jesus. Like, pick a fucking lane, Ehrman! Pick a goddamn lane! But anyways... We don't know anything historically about Jesus, and the fact that Jeremiah Johnston here is saying all this shit just means that he's preaching apologetics. He's not actually, stating anything new. And him sitting there and acting like people don't know about Papyrus 64 and 67, I mean, that's just fucking ridiculous. We know. We know about those. We've seen those. We know what they tell us about Christian history.
He wants to feel special, like he's saying something new. You're not special.
Yeah.
We keep things like this in a shoebox in Oxford, but then we have a Charles Darwin exhibit and say how incredible it is.
There's a whole museum of the Bible in Washington, D.C. The fuck are you talking about? And the evidence for evolution is so massive. And like, if you're talking about fossils or something like that, we can make replicas of fossils. You think that they've got real fossils on display in some places? I mean, there could be some, sure. But for the most part, the fossils that are displayed to the public are replicas of the fossils.
There's also relics and all kinds of religious museums everywhere, shit on display everywhere in churches and all kinds of shit. Come on, don't be stupid.
Yeah.
Of course. I have friends who are agnostic or liberal or atheist or whatever, and they'll
wait, hold on.
Those are all different things.
Agnostic, liberal, atheist. It's like, holy fuck, dude. Why are you just throwing us all into one clump? Like, there are liberal Christians out there that believe in the historical nature of their religion, but they're not atheists, they're not agnostic, they're not even fucking skeptics. Like, they're just liberal Christians. Like, I don't know. That's fucking confusing.
I don't know. This screams, I have a black friend.
Yeah, I can guarantee you Michael Knowles has said that at least once. Mm-hmm. It's okay for me to use the hard R. I got a black friend.
Mm-hmm.
Say,
it's
well,
good to have some of those.
Yeah, it's hard to have friends these days if you don't have a few of those at least. And they'll say, well, how do we really know? How can we really know what the apostles believed, what the early Christians believed? It's all just, who knows? It was so long ago. And I have to remind them, I say,
we know what they believed. It was written down.
I mean, we have what Paul believed, and Paul said that his information did not deviate from the other apostles, so we definitely know what they believed.
We absolutely know what they believed. We know extra biblically what they believed. Like, we know from other sources what they believed. What they believed is not in question. Like, I can sit here and write down crazy shit that lots of people believe. That doesn't make it fucking true. Ugh, God. See, this is why I don't do this.
It's okay.
It's annoying. They're annoying.
I got it.
They kept pretty good records. Like, they knew how to write. They did write. It's not as though we just invented writing and records and reliability in 1954. You know,
but that's what the skeptics have always said, Michael. Like,
no, that's not what we've always said. Like, we've always taken the religious historical documents for what they are, accounted for the time that they were written in, and applied a historical method that accounts for those things. We're not being anachronistic about it. We're not requiring any kind of ridiculous criteria. We just don't believe your bullshit.
They even said that there's no way we could have the Old Testament, that Moses wouldn't have even known how to read or write. I mean, the skeptics are always coming up with these tropes.
Yeah.
I don't see how that's a trope. That's just the reality of the situation. Like, Moses not knowing how to read and write. I mean, I guess Moses was brought up, in the story at least, Moses was brought up in the Egyptian royal family.
He would have known how to read and write.
He would have known how to read and write, sure. Yeah. But I don't understand. Like, I don't know where he's about to reveal who he considers to be like skeptic scholars. You're gonna fucking blow your lid. But because he mentions mythicists directly.
Great.
But I don't know who's saying all that, but I don't even think Moses existed. So
neither does scholarship.
Yeah, the current consensus is that Moses, as depicted in the Bible, either the Hebrew Bible or the Christian Bible, or whatever Bible you want to use, that person did not exist in history, and not even a minimal historical Moses likely existed in history. So, fucking suck on that, you used car salesman.
There are skeptics like Bruno Bauer, the German higher critic from the 19th century, who said that Pilate didn't exist, Jesus didn't exist, and then we have the modern day.
Oh, he's about to blow your lid.
But we also know Pilate existed.
Well, yeah. So those statements were made prior to like the finding of the Pilate stone. Yeah. Before the Pilate stone came around.
Didn't he say 19th century? So it's 1800s.
Right.
Yeah.
So like before then, yeah, there was some skepticism over Pilate because we've only got a few references and everything like that. And so it was a little bit suspect. But since we found the Pilate stone, like we've been able to independently verify a lot of those claims. And so like you can't sit there and shit on Bruno Bauer for saying those things in the 19th century before we found more evidence. Yeah. Like, that was a reasonable thing to be skeptical about at that point in time with the given evidence that we had.
Yeah. You'd think he'd tap into something a little more recent. Mm-hmm.
Did I recently purchase a used car? No, Cyrian, I didn't. I keep getting used car salesman vibes from him because I feel like he's trying to sell me that. But I want to back up just a little bit because you're about to blow your lid over who he mentions.
Okay.
The German higher critic from the 19th century who said that Pilate didn't exist, Jesus didn't exist. And then we have the modern day quote unquote experts like Bill Maher on his podcast that claimed Jesus, if he even existed. Do you realize?
Bill Maher?
Bill Maher's not a fucking expert. He's a shithead. Like, how are you going to distill down like the skeptical approach to the Holy Bible and only be like, oh, the so-called experts like Bill Maher? There are literal experts, actual scholars, you dipshit.
Bill Maher's a fucking comedian.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so let's see. He was born in New York City. Let's see. He was raised a Roman Catholic. His mother was Jewish. Well, his mother's family, like, he's Jewish in that way, not religiously, right? Let's see. Education. He went to Cornell, where he majored in English and history. I don't know what kind of history, but he's not an expert in this at all. So, what a weird fucking person to pick.
I know.
Realize that's committing intellectual suicide.
Yeah.
If I cannot believe that Jesus existed, I should not believe in any of the Roman emperors. As I point out in my book, Body of
That's
Proof,
dumb.
we have the same level of evidence
No, we don't.
for Jesus of Nazareth that we
This is
do
fucking
for
ignorant.
Roman emperors of the first century. Do we?
I hate this guy.
When I go back and edit that, I'm gonna have to leave those in there, like as he's talking. No, we don't. I fucking hate this guy. It's rather interesting to hear somebody say that, especially considering like the amount of evidence that we have for the Roman emperors. Keep in mind that this is Jeremiah Johnston thinking that like the Jesus Cup is comparable to like Alexander the Great's visage being printed on coins. Like that, in his mind, those things are the same thing, right? And he equates all these things together that are just not equal.
This guy needs to go to Rome.
He needs to go to Rome?
He needs to fucking go to Rome. He needs to go to Rome and just walk the fuck around. Just walk the fuck around. That's it. Walk around. Look around. Use your fucking eyeballs. Like, he just needs to go to Rome.
Yeah, there's so much archaeological evidence, there's textual evidence, there's like
just integrated into fucking Roman life with these guys' names on them and all of it. Like, this is bullshit. This is bullshit for them to talk about Roman emperors like that Jesus is as attested as them. That's fucking not true. When you go to Rome, the ancient world and these emperors' names and everything is literally integrated into,
for the Bible tells
like,
me so,
the current world. It's unbelievable. I just, you can't describe it. This asshole needs to go to fucking Rome and just touch grass.
Deconstructing Laura. Sorry, I can't see the rest of your name there. I think it's just
42.
42. It says we have busts of Julius Caesar. I've also been to his temple in the Roman Forum. Checkmate, Christians.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, Laura. Like, just go to Rome and walk the fuck around, right? I mean, you've been there, you know. This is ridiculous. This is fucking ridiculous.
We realize how astounding that is. I can't say the same for Alexander the Great. Arrian and Plutarch are the two best sources for Alexander the Great. They're writing 400 years later, but Bill Maher doesn't question if Alexander the Great existed. And
Oh, you want me to tell you why? Well, I don't care about Bill Maher, why he does whatever in the fuck he does out there. I really don't care. But why do skeptical scholars not question the existence of Alexander the Great versus the existence of Jesus? So he mentioned Arrian and Plutarch. Arrian's going to be the best biography about Alexander the Great that we have. The reason why we don't really question that is primarily because of the fact that Arrian actually goes through his sources. He names firsthand eyewitness sources that inform him about Alexander the Great. And so he's even got an entire section about how he resolves contradictory information in his sources. So like, we don't have that for the Gospels. We don't have that for Jesus. The best thing that we have for Jesus is fucking Paul, who hallucinated Jesus. And that's it. And he says, oh, I had a vision of Jesus, blah, 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 bloogity bleegoo, blah. I saw Jesus on a road or something. That's in Acts, but whatever. And so like, that's all that we got. We got some dude having hallucinations and that's it. Like, how is that comparable to Arrian and Plutarch, who cite their sources?
Also, to be honest, I don't give a shit if Alexander the Great existed or not. I don't fucking care. You know why I care about Christianity and Jesus is because it's literally shoved down our throats in the US all day, every day. They try to instill laws based upon the Gospels of Jesus or the Gospels in the Bible and everything else. And so that's why I care about that. That's why we talk about that. That's why it matters here. And I don't give a fuck about Alexander the Great.
Yeah, same.
I don't care.
Tired of dumb Christians, and I want to just compliment your program again.
Stop.
Is that
like you?
Yeah. I feel like dumb Christians. I'm not saying that all Christians are dumb, but I mean, I feel like those are
This
dime a
guy's
dozen.
pretty dumb.
Yeah.
We have
Get outta
the dumbest Christians of all time in our churches. And yet we all go to Google instead of God's word. We need to come back to the sources. We need to be Christian thinkers, do the actual great commandment, and love God with our heart, soul, and mind. And then we're going to change the world. It's not hard.
Don't be a logical thinker. Be a Christian thinker. That's an important point, though, because that is how they are. They are not logical thinkers. They want everybody to be Christian thinkers. And one of the things that I always got in trouble for in school was asking fucking questions. Don't ask questions. Be a Christian thinker. Go to the word. The claim is the evidence. That's it. That's all you need to know. You don't need to you don't go to Google and learn shit, right?
Yeah, you gotta stay in the in the paradigm.
In your Bible bubble.
Yeah, you gotta stay in the apologetics. Because if you go outside apologetics, you're gonna see how bullshit it all is.
Don't be a logical or rational thinker. Be a Christian thinker.
Exactly. All right, heathens. Well, that's gonna be it for tonight. We made it all the way through. It was a long one. Appreciate everybody staying here with me. Really appreciate y'all. I'm going to be recording some video, or at least one video this weekend, maybe another one, kind of depends on how much time I have. But we will be back next week with more clips and more calls, over there, on main part of the channel here. I've got stuff from TikTok. I've got all that. Also, I'm going to be doing some live streams over there on TikTok. So if you want to catch me over there on TikTok, definitely do that. Other than that, we're going to be going out. We do have the Skeptic Mafia comments to get to, but that'll be here in a minute. I don't know. I found Jeremiah Johnston to be very convincing. I think that the artifacts that he presented do not actually prove anything about the historical nature of Jesus. I don't think that they actually support any parts of the New Testament as being historically accurate. And I think that all Jeremiah has done has actually solidified my position that it's all just magical bullshit in the first place. And I've not heard anybody explain to me how all like Christianity or Judaism or any of this religious shit isn't just magic at its core. I would love for somebody to be able to explain that to me, how it's not. But we are going to be getting to the Skeptic Mafia comments now. So if you're headed out, I really appreciate you being here. Definitely go down below. Let me know what you think in the comments down there. And don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe if you like this kind of live stream. Don't forget to stand up and use your voice. Bye, heathens. But don't go, because we do have a couple of Skeptic Mafia comments to reference here. So if you're new to the stream, if you're part of the Skeptic Mafia, you can leave comments on the video and I will directly interact with those comments. And that's what we got right now. So first up is Tomato Go Zoom. Okay, didn't have time to watch this today, but based on the video title alone, I'm going to go ahead and give it a big nah.
Right.
Because of course I doubt it. Oh no, that's a X button. It's a press X to doubt. No, what I don't doubt, John's ability to debunk your nonsense, and with help from the lovely Casey over here. Anyway, you know the routine. Go ahead and smash that like button, or, sometimes you don't need to smash it. Sometimes generally pressing it also works too. Or smash it, whatever. Go ahead and click the subscribe, ring the bell, and join the Skeptic Mafia today. You know what you get for joining, right? Well, John can explain. So what you get right now is pretty much you get to pick the videos that we do on Friday nights. You get to leave comments, and there's a monthly meeting that I try to set up. I was bad about it before, but getting back into the swing of things, we should have one this month. So
and emojis.
And the emojis in the chat. You also get to use those emojis in the comment section in general, I believe. So all that kind of great stuff.
But mostly you get to help pick the video.
Yeah, mostly you get to help pick the video. And you get to hang out with me on occasion.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Sometimes I call.
Yeah. Remember the mantra, Casey is always right. I will listen to Casey's advice. I will not ignore Casey's recommendations. And if this happens again, Casey will personally rip your lungs out because Casey is God or goddess, whichever. Make sure you eat your goddamn fruits and veggies and drink some fucking water, tomato out. That's right. Okay. And then next we have Trickster, who says the Shroud of Turin. Are you serious? The shroud has been proven to be a fake from the Middle Ages many times. And because of that, the Catholic Church no longer allows the shroud to be studied by scientists and is just presented as a relic. He goes on to say that archaeology is not a friend of Islam, but if we are being truly honest, you would have to say that Christianity is no friend of archaeology unless the archaeologist is Christian. Yeah, unless they like blatantly misrepresent the archaeological finds, then archaeology does not and Christianity are not good bedfellows whatsoever.
They also confuse with archaeology because there's a lot of stuff that's in the Bible, like real places that are in the Bible and things like that. Like so they think that it's real, but like there are real places in fiction books and in movies and in plays that have been written throughout history. There are real places and people in those things.
You will not be able to convince me of two things.
Okay.
Spider-Man doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. New York exists. So, stifle that shit right now.
Mm-hmm.
And two, Abraham Lincoln, verifiably a vampire hunter. That's why there's no vampires now. Abraham Lincoln existed and he was a vampire hunter. See how those things connect? So you're just those are two ideas that you're just not going to get me away from.
It's unbelievable that for some reason their book is special. Like it's historical fact because they're talking about a place that existed and a fight between these two nations that has been going on for thousands of years. They mention that. So this is a historical book.
Hey, listen, Nazareth exists, therefore Jesus does. Okay.
London exists, so Harry Potter's real. This is stupid. This is so dumb. And it's so easy to like just disassemble their argument that like I don't even understand why any of them think that. Like I get there is historical stuff, places, some people and shit in the Bible. That doesn't make it a history book.
I know.
And this is not hard to understand.
It's not. But you got people like Jeremiah Johnston out there that make it hard. Trickster goes on with the Jesus cups. He simply says 850, but doesn't say AD or BC. Is it 827 years before Jesus or almost 1,000 years after Jesus? Also, aren't curses considered to be evil? Is there any proof that these things had any power, and do they still have power today? That's a good question. How would you be able to tell that demons are trapped in the bowl? Also, if they remove those bowls, are the demons now released? Or are the demons trapped in there?
I think the demons are trapped in the words. So even if you picked up the bowl, they'd still be trapped in the incantation, right? Because it says they have to follow the incantation from the rim down to the middle and they get caught in the middle.
Right. So they wouldn't be in the incantation. They would be in the middle, right?
Yeah, but they're in. Yeah, but I mean.
Is that stick figure a demon? Do you know how cool a stick figure demon would be? Just see it like prancing up the stairs and it's like, fear me. I'm like, no, you're cute. I'm going to put you on the back of my car. Anyways, thank you so much though, Trickster, for commenting. That's going to be it for the Skeptic Mafia comments today. I really appreciate everybody that's participated tonight. You guys are awesome. Let's see. Jesus Christ in the chat says, if you're a skeptic, I would think atheists would like to see what is going on instead of Sky Daddy.
I don't really know what that means.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that means either.
This Jesus person said that Jesus is a mushroom earlier, so it's very serious.
He's super serious.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anyways, my headset's about to go out, and I've actually got to go downstairs, and we're going to watch a movie and everything, and probably have like a snack or something. I don't know. It's been a while since I've eaten popcorn.
Maybe.
But anyways, Y'all have a lovely night, lovely weekend. I'll be live on TikTok maybe tomorrow at some point. Just find me over there on TikTok. I'd love to have a conversation with you. If you're in the chat tonight and you wanted to talk to me, follow me over there. You'll be able to talk to me over there. Anyways, we'll see you heathens later. Don't forget to stand up, use your voice, and all that kind of good shit. Bye, heathens.
Bye, y'all.